Good catch on that. I didn't realize I was still muted. Welcome everyone to the stream tonight, to the finale of the first half of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is the Great Ace Attorney 1. Now, I don't know who all saw to the very end of the last stream, but what I decided to do, because I didn't know how long the rest of the game was going to be, got suit and tie. Yo, Emiliano Ramirez, attorney at law. Or attorney at wacky, I suppose. Wacky attorney at law. You'd fit right in for this game. Everyone's equally wacky, maybe even more so. So I backpedaled a little bit to the okay, back to the previous checkpoint. So we'll have a little recap of what's been going down. I believe we are in the final section of the trial, so we'll be going through to the end in this stream. So this may give us a bit of a recap. So, yes, the small box. Yes. So this is the article in question, is it? Okay, so mini recap. So what happened is we are still in the middle of defending the pickpocket girl. She was supposed to reclaim or pay to extend the length of the items by Mr. McGilden from case 3 in the pawn shop, and this was one of the items that was inside. I can't remember the exact context of what was happening. We'll have to just see if the game will remind us. But this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited by the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilden 2 months ago. And on the night of Mr. Windibank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, let's open it and see what's inside. Would you look at that? It's a music box. Good gracious, this is no ordinary box, it seems. Wow, although in truth, I had an inkling that might be the case. A little inkling. So be good, because I rewound back a little bit. It would appear that the music box houses the box houses a miniature music box movement. Then, is it too much to expect? I think so. It would be reasonable to assume that it is the device was the playback of this disc, my lord. So, here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilden's disc deposited at Windibank's at much the same time. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilden's disc. It was the disc of his victim in the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGilden? Just raise his hand. I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last.
Hold it!
Wait, my lord! Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere of the courtroom with some silly bit of music.
Objection!
You shut your mouth. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understanding what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no, that piece of evidence is police property now. You can't... Clearly, Scotland Yard has some vested interest here. But it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. And you, Inspector, you have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. Ah! Dude, just throwing his chips over. No further delays, please. Play the disc. What on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in irregular sequence. They're playing my mixtape again. Mr. Graydon? This is really priceless. Yo, you doing the JoJo dancing again. After all that, the music box is broken. You mean Megalovania? Oh my god, there has to be an edit for that happening out there in the meme world. Broken? It can't be, can it? Oh, obviously, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officer sent to fetch it and drop it on the way back to the courtroom. Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers very little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, counsel? Come on. Yes, alright. It does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music be emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? Could be a clue. Always could be a clue. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord. Good lord, but how can it be? It's an abomination, counsel, mere noise. I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever. Man, I used to diss in your mixtape. It does sound strange, I agree. But there's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow. Well, he isn't wrong. And that's what's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the stance as a defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this. Oh. Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on the case? It's defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is not supposed to be music. Thank you. Just because this is a music box does not necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. How's it hanging? Yo, we're here in the climax of the case. I don't know if you watched in post, but we went back to the last checkpoint. Because, you know, I feel like I might need the refresher. Anyway. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Runo.
Objection!
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now you've told us what they are not. I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend. Surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly! The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that fact is pure foolishness. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Runo. What? I've just examined the music box very thoroughly. And I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. Really? Really, the way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway. Thank you, Iris. Amazing how she just knows that, though. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Ah! Could it be? Is this what these sounds are? Something's just struck me, Runo. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like the one this music box makes. Yes, that's a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. So smug at your and like when they're really doing no, you're wrong, idiot. Oh, I'm sorry, Sora. I'm gonna have to press a defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is in fact not music at all, Then what the devil is it, counsel? All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've heard. It's all pointing to a single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Japanese friend presents his proof now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm gonna get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's gonna join all the dots together. There's your clue. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds in this music box disc is... Wait, hold on. Oh, right, we're going with this, I think.
Take that!
Today's paper, counsel? I mean, how... They're just there to be a jerk. That's really what it is. The headline is Pawnbroker Perishes and Pick Purse Plunder. Always supportive of your cause. No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page. Further down? Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter. Be investigated at the highest level, I understand. We have heard that international transmissions, along with the supposedly secure lines, are somehow being intercepted and leaked to the various other countries. And presumably those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams? Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please. Stop. Oh, me, sir? Whatever is the matter? You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not? Yes, that's correct. And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports? Oh, yes, we're not your run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important. Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound? You don't mean to say, is it... That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it! Phoenix Wright tradition. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly in place than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code? Order! Order! Everyone, please order. But this is high treason, counsel. This is the deferring of capital punishment. Too much new vocabulary. What is treason and what is capital punishment? The sorts of words I'd half expect you to know. For a sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any price. Yes, and on that night, 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. But in the end, Miss McGilded perished and an all-important disc lay unclaimed in the pawnbrokery. My word! In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must have surely been beside himself with worry, because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country, it would reveal an act of high treason punishable by death. So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it, and in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night, because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if gotten to the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous! Absolutely preposterous! So in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you? Well, of course I do! I've had to stand here in silence while the pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection!
Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands a witness testifies in response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure. Alright, Sora. The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Winterbank. That being a most flagitious offense, for which the law of this land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less a serious crime. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then, let's proceed. You may... Wait, who said that? Oh, it's these two. Ha! You call us have a rabbit porky, Governor. We got things to say. I beg your pardon. Who do you think you are?
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin, but we ain't baddies enough to sell out our motherland. That's right, we what they call... the three Skulkin brothers. I love how they look at him every time.
It's bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing. Good God, I love this. Green's counter. The mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with Mr. McGilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man.
Look, are we done breaking into the gap the other night like what I always do? If we know there was dodgy government secrets involved, we wouldn't have touched it.
I changed my last name for a reason, guys. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
What Mr. will do, Governor? What's up?
Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? On the night of question, you did indeed gain entry to the premises illegally. And moreover, you did so as a party of 3, in collaboration with Mr. Graydon here.
Yes, we did, Gov. We did.
Quiet down, please. What's the to that, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two ruffians are referring to.
You little rot, I can't mix up all this monkey business. You never said enough about no government secrets. It's supposed to be a straight up job.
Beast.
And what about the geezer whose shop it was there? Poor old bloke didn't have to die, did he?
Ha! Nice to know who your friends are. Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations. Indeed. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it into the court record as evidence. Alright. Let's get some pressing done. So in this newspaper headline accurate, government communications are being intercepted. How can I possibly know? What do you mean by that? Any important government communications are handled by the high-level officers, by specialists. General members of the staff of the station where I work could never be entrusted with sensitive information. We heard about it. Oh no, stop. I must say something. Stop. Let me guess. Juror number 5. We regular communication station officers aren't as lowly as you are being led to believe. A team of us are responsible for setting up and testing the telegraphs used by the ministry. And Mr. Graydon is the team leader. That's fascinating. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently, the person's been idle. Stop. She's blushing and everything. So you had access to the equipment used for these confidential communications, Mr. Graydon. Well, what of it? The transmissions are always made behind closed doors, and they can't be heard. And in any case, all messages are sent enciphered. Normal employees couldn't possibly understand them. Oh no, stop. Must say something, stop. Mr. Graydon regularly attends meetings with the ministry technicians and the ministry communications team. He assists them in ensuring that there are no errors in important international communications. And he's received the top prize at the cipher cracking convention 5 years in a row now. That's fascinating. Graydon's high school operator, stop. Currently in person of an idol, stop. Why is her thing going all over the place? Well, your idol would appreciate it if you keep your mouth shut. She should really pick her idols more carefully. I tell you, this lawyer's accusations are completely unfounded. Or even Morse code.
Hold it!
They're not? To anyone with a brain, that would be blatantly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds. You're the most useful juror in this case. Of course, of course. Oh, surely it cannot be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Ouch, she looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. A lesson here in court, which isn't saying much. Morse code is a continuous series of two distinct tones. Tones, you say? Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those in different ways, you construct letters. I see. For example, this is an A, and this is B. That's so weird. But when you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you? But it sounds so similar. The rhythm of it is the same in everything. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparently random sequence of sounds. So I'll crack the case moving. We're learning Morse now a little bit, so you are certain it is fundamentally flawed. This is not Morse code. No! Really, you shouldn't be so surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspirations in the future. Stop. Nothing to say but stop. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Iris? I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things would slot into place so nicely. Could there still be something I haven't considered? Well, let's have a look at this. I forgot I have to redo this stuff. So we know that that was that, so... If you want the flavor text, we'll go back to the previous stream and see the last, let's say, 45 minutes of that one. Oh! What's that, Bruno? I just noticed something about this music box. It looks like it's open, the bottom of it opens up as well. Ah, you're right! Well, come on then, what are you waiting for? Let's open it! Alright then, here it goes. Look at that! There's another movement on the other side! So, does that mean you can set another disc to play back on this side? Yes, I think so, and it looks like the two movements are linked together. They're linked? So if you had two discs, they would both play back at the same time. Does this update the information of the item? Who thought there would be a second movement on the other side of the box? This movement is like the other one. The comb's teeth are all the same length. So this movement also only produces a single tone, like the other one. Yes, it must do. Except that the length of the teeth on these two combs isn't the same. So the single tone produced by this movement will be different to the single tone we've already heard. What? Basically, each movement can only produce a single note, but the notes they produce are different. The music box can only play two tones. Okay, so it did not update. It would really be impossible to use... Give it a try? There's still every possibility that this music box was instrumental in the leaking of government secrets. That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection!
Does it please you in some way, my Nipponese friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? Jackie downs his 50th glass of wine. It'll be established to be Morse code. Two tones are required. Dots and dashes. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Then what? Well, we favor the defense as a hypothesis to put forward. You had better present your idea at once, counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could have been used to cipher secret messages into Morse code? There we go. Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the other side of this music box. What? It appears, my lord, that the two movements are linked together. In other words, you can put two discs in this music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time. Good heavens! As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of two tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, the music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. Beat the F out of these prosecutors. This is beyond a joke. I'm sorry? This is poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims. So, of course, if my learned friend were able to present to the court with the second disc, that would be another matter. Well, I can't at the moment. And then I remind the court that the witness has pointed out he was not the one in the omnibus with Miss McGilden 2 months ago, striking a deal over the disc, or discs. Indeed, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. Exactly, I had nothing whatsoever to do with it! Though it has holes, I must admit the argument presented by the defense has much promise. I believe the cross-examination should continue. The link between Graydon and the victim of the omnibus case must be here somewhere. But I haven't found it yet. Oh dear, it looks like you need to give your argument more strength right now. You will reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon. If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. You found a way to do it legally. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilden anyway. Was it not? I have no relation to the man.
Hold it!
So 2 months ago in that omnibus, McGilden killed the brickmaker and stole the disc. Mr. Mason was a single man with almost nothing to his name. Seems he lived in the Artisan Quarter some years ago, but people there remember little about him. That doesn't make much sense though, does it? How would a humble brickmaker come to acquire secret government information? How indeed! There must have been somebody else involved behind the scenes in all of this. Somebody who acquired the disc and gave it to Mr. Mason in order to take it to the meeting with McGilden and negotiate a deal. Dear me. You may have it in for me, sir, but I assure you, I have far more class than that. An old brickmaker from the Artisan Quarter and this well-to-do communications officer. If only I could find some evidence to link the two of them together. If you have nothing else to add to that note, let us return to the witness testimony. Look, are we done breaking Garfield like you like what he told us to?
Hold it!
Like Mr. Graydon told you to do, you mean?
Is it? Yeah. Who else, eh? Silly me thought we were just popping over for an edit after all them years, but the water had a dodgy job for us. Ish.
Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say. Do you mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours? Bricky Graydon's head.
It's always what kind of baddies, you know? Sure, let's say Graydon's an old China.
Wait, what?
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. Skulkin?
Eh.
No, the other Mr. Skulkin.
What? Who, me?
When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react.
Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have right old laugh together way back when.
Together? With Mr. Graydon, you mean?
Yeah, with Ash. I mean, yeah, look at him now, his fancy whistle and flute. You wouldn't have him either. But when we was younger, he was the poor part of town, just like us.
Is that so?
But he was always a leery one. He had the brains, he had the savvy. Always coming up with smart ideas like what would never have gone through our heads. Cool, blimey, ain't that truth? Remember Middleton and Skulkin's Mick run? Cause that was a corker, eh?
Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit.
Oh, your geezer asked us a question, didn't he? And we was answering. Yeah, he ain't done nothing wrong.
Nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on your trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we turn our attention back to the testimony, please? I don't know. Can a sentimental story be relevant somehow? Oh, yes, add it to the testimony. We're going a little faster because I already know the answers to this little part. My lord. Yes, counsel? The brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information relating to the case. Very well, Cancel. I will permit the brothers to supplement their testimony with that detail. Briefly, I hasten to add.
Say no more. Skulking's never skulking. Milverton and Skulking's milk run. Core, those were the days.
Hold it!
Again, the flavor text is in the other stream. I'm sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business?
Just a little scheme we had going back when we was youngsters. A bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals, that's what it was all about.
That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. Suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate, but on what? The business name. So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? Or was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved?
Yeah, that's it.
Milverton and Skulkin's Milk Run, was it?
Yeah, that's it.
And where did the Milverton part come from?
Oh, right. I think a clever clogs like you would have worked that one out. That is.
Hold it!
Enough of this. How much longer were we expected to listen to this drivel? I don't.
Objection!
Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying. Tell me, why is it that only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject? But because well...
It weren't the happiest of times, happiest homes he came from. Yeah, old man was struggling for money so much his wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon then, see? But Ash will always be a Milverton to us.
Milverton. So that used to be your surname, did it? Of course not! This is all bunksome! I've been a Graydon since I was born! Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves, hmm? You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Ah! Well, it would appear that Mr. Skulkin says we has been reliable. For once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then. Is that correct? Very well, yes. So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important. All of a sudden, we seem to be up at our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although, all this talk about interception of secret government messages is still just conjecture at this stage. Roasted. It would explain a number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Jeannie overheard on the omnibus 2 months ago, the break-in at Windibanks. But this trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the omnibus with Mr. McGilded. No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker who was so horribly murdered. If only there was some link between the two men somehow. I know, but Mr. Graydon's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. I wonder if the key to making headway with the cross-examination here could be those two brothers. The eating of the fruit. Okay, so the relation to the man. So if anyone didn't see it in the previous one, I found out by looking through the case notes that the victim, I don't know how Sasato-san figured this out, but the victim's full name was Mason Milverton. Which, I don't know, again, I don't know how she figured that out. She's just the best. So here we go. Mr. Ashley Milverton, tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name. Explain yourself, please, Cancel. I have here the notes for the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with McGilded. Yes, Mr. Mason was the brickmaker. That's right, only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton. But Milverton? Do you mean to say? Saints alive! Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father? Ha! I don't... As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you join the civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. The truth is, you've been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it to McGilded in collaboration with your father. Ha! The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all come together to reveal the truth. The truth, you say? That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded. By dint of this music box, you mean, counsel? Yes, stealing information being sent in government communications and selling it on to McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme of using 2 music box discs to encode the information, as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands. And a very effective one. Oh, excuse me. I wouldn't have given that scheme any credence whatsoever. But the deal was misgilded with sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learnt of the situation, you appeared at Windibanks 2 days ago, in an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had placed in pawn there. But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time, determined to recover the second disc. Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box?
Eh? We never knew nothing about that!
On the night that Mr. Windibank was killed, the box disappears for a brief period of time. Or reappears. The intruder at the pawnbrokery touched one item, and one item alone. The music box. Oh, excuse me. As rather ingeniously demonstrated by using the 2 prints from the security camera, indeed. So the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny all of this actually began on that fateful night, 2 months ago? I refuse to accept any of this nonsense! Sir, there appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. What? Ah! 2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windibank's pawnbrokery. One took the life of the pawnbroker himself. One struck the pouch around Sholmes' waist. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide, it's a bullet wound, isn't it?
He's got you now, me old China. I recall Quitch and Croak, I reckon.
Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? And I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common backslum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windibanks that night. I paid this pair 10 guinea to accompany me. And as you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilden. Yo, he's still dancing, man. As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going down without a fight, not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is... well, we know that one bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windibank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon on the arm. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windibank was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. Goodness! That's right, Mr. Graydon. Ugh. The only person who could have possibly shot Mr. Windibank that night is you.
Hold it.
You little upstart! You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightfully say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. My best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I had built for myself at the communications station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. What? Are you suggesting? I saw it all! I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at the poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him! You... what?! Order! 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 Well, it would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Mr. Graydon. Yes? I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully. Dude, he's do or die mode here. It's either him or her. I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim. Nothing would give me greater pleasure. I have not seen anything past this point. I have not seen the testimony, so now it's all back to blind territory. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance of the shop. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a very sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused in the black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. What? That doesn't make any... Good gracious! This is quite extraordinary testimony. Why would she even do any of that? This man is an idiot. We claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. And we're gonna believe this horsewash? Order! 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 It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is it my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. The truth. Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, I'm sorry about that. Excuse, what? Having a shot to me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. You say the blood spattered over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the back overcoat of that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. He's not wrong. I remember that now in the when we talked to Jenna in the prison cell. We did the blacklight stuff or whatever on her, and she had blood seeped through the coat. But the truth of the matter is probably more so the fact that he was wearing the coat, because well, actually no, I don't know. I didn't remember. Really? If a coat could somehow be shown to harbor visualizations of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Oh, line time. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, not some amateurless detective's dubious foray into the world's chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used, with your lordship's permission. Fire! We can shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Runo. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Jeannie's coat. So basically we've pinned down the Blondie here, that he was there that night, but now he's claiming that he witnessed Jenna shoot the pawnbroker. So he's going do or die mode. He's claiming that Jenna shot the pawnbroker and he witnessed it. But he was just trying to hide the fact that he was there. That's what's going on right now. He's either going her or him, and that's where we're at. There's blood all over in front of Jeannie's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help! You're right! You're right! I was reading that happened yesterday. Yeah, here's our flashback. Don't move, Jeannie! I'm going to shoot! It showed up all green, didn't it? No, it showed up blue. Color theory class 2 days ago? Really? That's not Mr. Windeblank's blood. That stains from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood when he was stabbed by Miss McGilded, who was wearing that coat at the time. Oh, I see you, Melts, playing Pikmin. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. We can't. There's no way. Overruled. Lord Van Zeeks, make it so at once. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. This sucks. Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel! Yes, my lord! Your cross-examination! Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence, or a really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Oh, this isn't good. Moment of the shooting. All these ruffians were jostling with the broker. I was near the entrance of the shop.
Hold it!
Mr. Windibank emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were securing the counter when he had suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close.
I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence.
Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance of the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1. So I assume they can handle the situation. These warrior But I was wrong.
I was trying to help my little brother, but the old geezer chucked me over the blooming counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and I soon made him scamper.
The pair of you sitting on the poor defenseless pawnbroker together, shame on you!
So I gov.
Nah, they're just honest villains. So when the bank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm.
Hold it!
You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. This is the exact moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshots. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar on the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped up my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Windibank attempt to shoot you, do you think? Well, now, I don't imagine he even knows I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home.
But he pulled my gun on me, tried to shoot me out the way. And then he scampered through the door at the back.
At which point, what did you do? I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I couldn't see him through the peephole in the door, though.
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom's door is a solid job, made of stout wood. But there's a small opening at about the head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. Well, I do know that. And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what's on to this peephole as well?
They're not likely to do this enough when I spoke of.
How would Nash even be tall enough? I doubt these 2 buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant. Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? The accused in the black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety.
Hold it!
Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. Ha, but no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun rounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. See, the broker's gun was not a murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun at her at the time.
Objection!
But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. Chilling image, I must say. Yeah, sure. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl.
Hold it!
All over her. Yes, through the peephole, I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, with the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it's sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from the McGill that stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If they only accept Hurley's chemical analysis, they could prove that. But they won't. So unfortunately, we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother. Oh, bother. Then she tossed the gun out the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
Hold it!
Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room. That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole into the floor on my side of the door. Why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I wouldn't have picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case any more tragedies took place. Of course, sure. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime? Yes, it was yours truly. I left to clear up my lackeys. I left to clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? You made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Foot here told us to tidy up. He thinks our bloomin' mum sometimes. Well, I was paying you well enough, by God! Ugh. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? He won't answer that. You're like a bullet a...
You little toe rag!
You're like a bullet a gaith, aren't you? Wait. Whoa, what?
Excuse me!
Wait. Oh. Gentlemen! Dude, they're fighting in the stand! Something's wrong. Something wrong, Sunshine? Well, yes! You were just assaulting the witnesses! That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this thing's a bit of an hooligan, ain't he? What's going on just now? And no one... I interrupted. You saw me grab you with the whistle! Why the blazes said didn't you mention the third gun when you got down at the station? And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it! What that flaming peephole in the door? Sorry about that. I could be prone to losing my rags sometimes. Not hurt, are you? Go, blimey, gee, the way he looks at me. Telling you, he give you the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Regsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Greg said you need to calm down. Maybe nobody noticed. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Wait, are we done? My lord! Oh, no. Granted your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination? Explain yourself, officer! You're the result of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, it's the blood on the accused's account. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? I don't really have a choice. No, my lord. I didn't have any clues anyway. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were from the result of splattering following a gunshot wound. End of report. That sounds forced. Goodness me. Where are the Skulkins? See? What did I tell you? My stand.
Objection.
Get your stand out of court. The blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibanks. What on earth makes you say that, Counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibanks, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on the overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Objection.
Well, the dead cannot speak. That's right, my Nipponese friend. Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer. Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. Ugh, but that was... I call it a bloody disgrace. Treachery is what it is. How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not. Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. Can't be done. But we used Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised for me, by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? I yelled out, Prokotski, for the starving boy, he ran out crying. What does that have to do with anything? Sherlock Sholmes is very more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from the start to finish. How do you arrive at such conclusions, sir? He is a detective! As the witness said, the accused's coat was splattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Blasted. Gave him the finger gun. My lord! Been a long battle this one, but this war horse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman? As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now? Sir!
Guilty.
Stop!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
My cross-examination's not finished! Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached an unanimous verdict. He actually drank it. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the jurors' decisions being equally successful. I don't believe it. After I've come so far, how is it all unraveling on me so fast? After he drinks his Kool-Aid. Come on, do you get up? Oh, very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Wait, who is speaking? On screen, at least. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhado? Who is this? Who is... Oh, what is happening? Officer! You delivered the report now. That'll be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhado, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. Who is talking? I know that voice. No, it's not Herlock, is it? Am I going mad? Ah! Here he goes. Mr. Sholmes? Why are you here? What is the meaning of this? Look at his, he's dancing out. Order! 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 What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in the hospital. As well I should be, had I not set upon an errand. What errand?
Hurley, it's really you! You're awake at last!
Master of disguise. Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us a little time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zeeks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly! Having spent so long already, we don't want to go waste any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would have been churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Very well then. Cancel, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah!
Yo, he's here too! My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. By fear, even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me, should I pass out? Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots! The most intelligent thing this girl has said the whole time! This place is... I'm keeping this one. This place is full of idiots! Nope, wrong button. I didn't mean to hit any of those buttons. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. Never took the trouble to refine it for approval by the scientific committee. An oversight on my part. Right. Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender for Soki wrapping? Leaving present from Miss Susato. Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do this, her this favor. I don't understand. She looks so mad. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means of both devious and underhand. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are, won't do. You would find yourself in considerable peril. Detective, you're so fast. I don't know. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. Leaving present from Sasato-san. Whatever could it be? Open it and find out. What? Is that a gun? What is this? What is that? Oh, it's the machine I made. Ah, wait. No, not the cat! Look, I used this as my latest invention. The cat door maker gun? What? What is that? I call it the cat flip-o-mat. I can make a cat flip for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. How does it make it... What does this mean? What's Susie up to? I have no clue. She's smarter than all of us. Miss Sasato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. Oh my god. Hogwash! What? Didn't she see something like that? I don't like where this is going. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. I'm confused. What's happening? Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Windibanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Sasato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. No! You're not serious, are you? You're not serious. Oh my god, this is insane, what they're suggesting. Why did she... That is your answer, dear fellow. No, not at all cryptic then. Sasato-tan used this cat flip a mat that night, but why? I know exactly what's happening. And I'll show you what I'm thinking. Fire! Your 5 minutes is over. This is what I'm thinking, and this is probably what's going to be happening. Where are the photos? Okay, so look at this here. So, this is... You see there on the back over there, in the door, you obviously see the door hole, the door flip hole thing there at 1:30 a.m. after the murders happened, right? It's not there at 1 a.m. And I thought that was weird earlier. I just thought, oh, the curtain is in a slightly shifted position that you can't see the door hole at that hour. But I also wondered, at one point today, why did the door have a hole at all? It's a storeroom. I never questioned why there was a hole there until today. This is so dumb. But how are we gonna get... Okay, let's just continue. I mean, how are we gonna get them to believe that? We're out of time already? We talked too much about Sasato-san. This happens. He's on the freaking witness stand. I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leadings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summonation examination. But any attempts to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder... Mr. Naruhado? Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. You didn't see the difference. It was very slight. I don't understand what to make of it though. The idea is that she couldn't have dropped the gun out if no door. But okay, well, I know how we're gonna prove the door was there after, but this is really, really stretching it. I have to be careful here. If I make the wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests time to think. Okay. Okay, I can't... Alright. I want to finish the cross-examination. Because... I don't have anything new for a summonation examination. I don't have anything that I can prove it to them. I need to disprove him. Further cross-examination.
Objection!
The jurors have spoken! Protocol dictates you may not cross-examine a new witness now!
Objection.
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness. Rather, to continue with the one of an existing witness. What?! It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord. I guess your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination? Yeah. Okay, I'm not reading this flashback. We just confirmation that the thing was temporarily suspended. We're not done with it. I wasn't finished. This violin is amazing. So nobody can say anything then. If Bruno asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, then the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd! I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. How incorrect these court proceedings are. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence. If following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. I don't know how you actually say that word. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhado, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. Wait, what? I leave this in your capable hands. I don't know if I'd call that a dead faint. This man has no chill. Mr. Sholmes! Did he have a stroke? He died! He's on the floor. Someone pick him up. Oh my god, this is insane. Oh boy, to stand so nonchalantly before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. Snake? Snake! I imagine he's feeling very little now, as the detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Did they add that flip-o-matic to the screen? They did. Holy what? Whoa, those visions seem like they could rip through almost anything. They're good, aren't they? They're made of a special alloy I developed just for this job. The cutter rotates 10 times per second, so it can get through any kind of door in no time at all. And what are the two parts at the top there? Ah, those are for attaching hinges to the section of the door that gets cut out. Right, of course. Nothing can match this machine for power. It can make mean speed of even the toughest of doors. It sounds so charming and friendly when you say it what it's for, but it feels like a reality of the Cap-O-Matic is that it's a grim weapon of door destruction. Why guy is so adorable? There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. Even developing deadly weapons! Oh my god. That sounds like a cat mom if I ever heard one. Alright. I'm as prepared as I'm gonna be. That's faster than a buzzsaw! Yes. One statement. One piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down. Or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance that Sasato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. The moment of the shooting. Dude, this music! Alright, so where's the thing? This is so good. Alright, so now this is the moment I'm trying to think of here. So are we going to just straight up present the buzzsaw with no context, or do we present the photo without the door, without the peep door? Which one is it? Because it's gotta be one of those two. See, because in the back, see how I'll show you on the magnifying glass. Oh well, that's not very good use of the magnifying glass. There is no opening. There's no opening on the photo. Do I present one or the... Does one or the other... Will one or the other take me down the same logic of leap logic? This violin is banger. A short time before the murder took place. It's either the photo or it's the cat flip-o-matic. Like, it's one of the two. I don't know which one comes first. The door gun? I mean, what? Hold on, I have an idea. One sec. Just in case. Just in case it literally does kill me and take me back to the last checkpoint. I don't want to go through all of that again. Here's your third gun.
Objection.
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel?
Oh no.
Oh, it's my cat flip-o-matic, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. You can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. Oh, this music. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't! To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker store!
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand.
Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all.
Well, I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say?
2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant did what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous! What are you trying to say?
Of course there was a peephole in the door! I said as much in my testimony! How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Yes. How could you?
What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean.
Alright, it's time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through.
What? No!
Dude, he danced off screen too.
Objection.
This is a farce! Are you truly suggesting that's the peephole in the door was? Yes, it was created only after the incident taken place by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene while it's being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. That is the most serious act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes.
Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel.
Why is he somewhat southern? By the majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back! However, if at the time of the incident that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. And she did this why? Exactly, why? Ugh! In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh! To create a device, or
Order! Is there any credence to this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly! This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is! Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, it's designed to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd! I don't believe it for a second! Haha, I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, cooey, time for dinner! Ah! No! Kitty! She dug a door through the courtroom door! When did she do that? The Sasato takedown to cover up her crime. Well, wait, when did you do that? Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the Old Paling at the Old Bailey. By you mother... I'm not done yet, don't worry. Doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom at the window banks was made by your machine. What was that noise? And there's no way you can prove that it was! No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps in my Cat-O-Matic crates are all fixed size. And the dimensions of the peephole and the window banks are the exact match. Ugh! Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. This is now that my learned student's friend turned to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There's no proof! And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. Blasted. Bam. He's like Frieza over here. Bing.
Indeed, is that so, Lord Van Zeeks? We'll cancel. Now it's time for the picture.
Did she actually go back? We haven't proved it yet either. Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. Loads the gun. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Sasato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. This man is becoming a Sasato simp over here. Sasato's in the courtroom this entire time. She is the greatest. Very well, the counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of the window bank store was created after the event and not before. Picture time. Got it right here. What are you? Afraid from the detectives and final cameras again. My judicial assistant, Miss Sasato Mikitoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. Dang, she is so sly! All of that in the span of 5 minutes! And necessary proof is in this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see that print again.
Yes, Sasato simp. He just respects her word. That's true too.
I don't believe it. It really is quite remarkable. The door of the storeroom. It's completely devoid of a peephole of any description.
Ha!
Mr. Graydon! You couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Ah! Where did it... Just pirouetted. This has to make a seesaw on the floorboard, too. Order. I am satisfied the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness' testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing now it knows beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. Oh my god. Okay. But more importantly... Good lord, there's more Lord Van Zeeks! The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene. It's true. I was shot in the arm. It's true. But that's not all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I'm the victim here. Oh, please. No! I don't believe this. Oh, God. This is just falling apart. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he's the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. What? Iris? You know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat is bolted. Isn't that right, Runo? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel! Once you enlighten the court, explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency revealed by the lies of the witness statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something that he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, the bloodstains on the coat. Is it Amaya Faye that said that? It might have been! The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right, the victim's blood splattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it to people and... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop having failed to catch the two burglars. Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly, carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of porn articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to the officers working around the clock and shifts so we could get through it all. And coincidentally, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Tongue obtained. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door, so the fact that its existence formed the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable. Ugh.
Objection!
And yet, the fact that remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you, permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Oh, of course, sir. Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Ah!
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? Well, that would be Gregsy, Mr. Tobias.
Take that!
The truth is, it could only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Eh? Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a crash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, but preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our 1 hour long recess. Luigi, no! Well, the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be acquired to appear in court. Acquired, not acquired, sorry. Are you suggesting that until such a time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position, that he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that this trial was put in progress, that he receives that information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage! Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings were soon following the recess. Since then, they have been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. No, they did! Oh, I just remembered something, Runo. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Jeannie was testifying. Oh yes, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve the McGilligan's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. Flashback. While we were talking to Gina, I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon this information he needed then. You little toe rag! You're making all this up! I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details of the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind, and then it starts to make more sense. What deal, counsel? I wonder if perhaps, in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of maloffense. Well,
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't know. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecutor is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. If it is incumbent to the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Grayson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. And that must be it. Runo, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. But okay, I know exactly what we're going about. Thank you for your answer now, counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Grayson made with the witness? Is it the music box or is it the music disc? Because I know what it is. I know what he's I'll try the disc. Hold on. We'll do the save again, because I don't want to go back all the way through the case if somehow this messes up. I think it's either the... Because what Gregson wants is the other disc, the missing disc. And by the process of this court, Gregson, the Blondie should have it. Maybe not on his person, but he has it. Gregson needed the disc. So, there we go. Inspector Gregson, besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How to bleed Nora could you... We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for the details of the case. You little... Ah! Oh, no! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is that McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't get to him. He's mine, that is, mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew that at the time, isn't it right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and to do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely! I mean, I wasn't sure of that myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, You did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony. There was no way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men. No! Ah!
Objection!
If, I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room?
How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What? What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person.
Yes!
The defense demanded the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Jeannie was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please. Order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector. Stop eating. This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. Me, however, if I'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search.
What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, this youth will be deemed unfit for court service, and this trial will end. And my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious. But he suggested it! Indeed, have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runo because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Hold on, actually. I'm afraid I don't want to lose the whole case. Can we save? Yes. Actually, here's what I'm thinking. If he's so confident to suggest we actually search him, he doesn't have it. But he knows it's here. Blondie still has it. So I'm going to suggest we search Blondie. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may very well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. I said to hurt someone else. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct the search of the inspector's personal effects, please.
Objection.
There we go. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What?
No, what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lusted at last, have you, sunshine? The court should have been put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Unless he jumped it on a Skulkin brother. He did. Dude, wait, no. Oh, wait, no. It's not on Blondie. It's on Nash Skulkin. Because at that one point, he grabbed him and started shaking him for no reason. It's on Waluigi! Who yelled? Oh, it's Iris. Okay. Reno's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Oh, yeah. Call him out on it. What the hell?
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about things I've seen in this court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be.
Counsel, of whom do you request the search now?
Waluigi.
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. The child is savage. I love her.
Well, I never!
Yeah, blood! Me! Him!
Well, I know that's the right answer. Very well then, bailiff!
Search Hurtlock, please.
Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Hold it!
Please, my lord!
Inspector?
Scotland Yard has to object to this search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
Eh!
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
But Lord Van Zeeks!
I have no idea of what forces are at play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial.
Ah! Bailiff, carry out the search!
Now, hold on, Mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out!
Here, let me hit the... Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this.
There it is.
Good lord, that's...
Another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilden. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Ugh! Order, order, order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett! I just... Gordon Flaming Bennett! I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest to God!
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here?
Since I have to do everything,
The alleged deal was struck between this witness and this detective, no?
without question, my lord.
Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
Ah! It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night? Was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I have to admit nothing of the sort! Well, Mr. Graydon answered my questions. The inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently.
Yeah, you did it all! Tell me Noga's got a fall clean off of the head. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother I was.
And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me, whistled like that, and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got down to the station? That's what he said. You ought to write down my ear, all we did. Me is that they'll throw up now.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Grayson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Well, bless my wig, he hid it!
You...
But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law! He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment was has some special conditions.
My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush, top secret assignment, is it?
As far as they're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector?
I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
So, realizing there was a chance you may be searched here, court, took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from his witness.
Ah, does this mean...
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulk in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon! Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection.
Are you kidding me? But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? This is insane. Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit. So, sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective. All of this is the young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of that is about. You... What? There's no way. There's no way on this earth that could fly. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? He ain't gonna do that. Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I'm acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, I've been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is insane.
It's quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings.
Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idle. Stop. Oh, she's not paying it. Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe if the 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare their decision now... Is Jeannie going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. What more can I possibly do? What else can I do? Is there... There's nothing left! I've done everything! Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I impose the jurors to declare their final decisions, no?
Do I have anything of that sort? Okay, good. It's